Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
Check, 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 check. What's happening? Nocturnal Thoughts in the building. Coming at y'all again with another video. It's been a tough night in the office, burning the midnight oil. So excuse me as I, get my point across on a few boxing topic situations. Where do I want to begin? I want to talk about Deontay Wilder, Luis Ortiz, the rematch come November. I want to talk about Terence Crawford in his tweet or his response to Errol Spence unification against Shawn Porter. And I want to talk about Errol Spence and Shawn Porter. I'm going to start there and I'm going to work it back. And the possibility, not necessarily of a rematch, but what I would think would happen in a rematch, hypothetically, my thoughts on it. And I wanted to chop up my thoughts on Errol Spence working with Blu Ray for his strength and conditioning and what I think about that. So here's what I think about it. Nocturnal Thoughts. I'm going to work it backwards. Leading up to this fight, we heard that there was some type of beef between Blu Ray and Errol Spence. That got cleared up immediately by Blu Ray, who made a public announcement in a phone interview, basically clearing out the smoke, saying that there was no beef between Errol Spence and himself. That they were considered to be family, brothers, and it was an agreement that they were going their separate ways for their own reasons that I don't believe they fully disclosed to the fans and the public. Just let everything know that it wasn't anything personal, or that they didn't really fall out. Just they came to where it was time for them to go their separate ways. That's how life is sometimes. It's not meant to be, some people in your life for a season, some people in your life, for a longer amount of time. But just because you and somebody have a good chemistry and everything is working together, doesn't mean that relationship is meant to be, long term or ongoing for every situation in your life. You might split, go your separate ways, and then come back together again. That's just how life works. But anyways, a lot of people were saying that had Errol Spence been working with Blu Ray, that he would have knocked out Mikey Garcia. He would have knocked out Shawn Porter. Some people even said that maybe Errol Spence didn't have a good camp, that he peaked early, and that had he worked with Blu Ray, that Blu Ray gave him that type of strength and conditioning that made him get stronger and stronger as the rounds progressed. As the fight got deeper and deeper, Errol Spence seemed to get stronger. So my thoughts on that is, first of all, it's hypothetical to say what the Mikey Garcia outcome and what the Shawn Porter outcome would have been with Errol Spence training with Blu Ray. So I don't want to speak hypothetically. I can say, based off facts, that Errol Spence fighting Mikey Garcia was fighting a tougher competitor, and fighting Shawn Porter at his best, at his very best, was fighting a higher competitor than, say, fighting a Chris Algieri or fighting a Lamont Peterson. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, people say that Errol Spence seemed to get stronger and stronger as the fight progressed. In this fight against Shawn Porter, he knocked down Shawn Porter in the 11th round. So I didn't see that his strength had faded. I didn't see where his conditioning suffered. I didn't see where his strength suffered. I don't base it based off the fact that he did not get a knockout with Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter has never shown to have a glass jaw and has always shown to have the grit and the heart to take a punch. We just didn't know if he was going to be able to take an Errol Spence punch. Now, hypothetically, let's say if he was, we don't know if he would have been able to take an Errol Spence punch had he been in camp, strength and conditioning with Blu Ray. We will never 100% truly know. I don't want to get it twisted and say that it wouldn't have made any difference, because we don't know that. I want to speak honestly. And honestly, I think there's a possibility, had he been training with Blu Ray, his strength might have been on a different level. That's possible. But I can't say that without a shadow of a doubt. His strength still showed to carry into the championship rounds. In the 11th round, he got a knockdown that looked crucial and looked brutal on Shawn Porter. So there is a slight possibility that training with Blu Ray would have made just that little bit of difference to knock out Shawn Porter. But I don't know that without a shadow of a doubt. So I'm going to say that that's just a hypothetical situation that we won't know. You dig? Either way, I still think whatever, I feel like this too. Errol Spence, as far as his camp, as far as his preparation, as far as his game plan going into this fight, it was the right fight to win. It was the right plan and the right strategy to win this fight. But it might not have been the right plan and the right strategy to knock Shawn Porter out. You see what I'm saying? The difference in that, right? And then that will parlay me or segue me right into the next topic, as far as if there was a rematch. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think there's going to be a rematch. But just say, for example, because one thing is tell of who won this fight is Shawn Porter was over after the conference. The post-fight conference was rematch. When you call for a rematch that bad, it's only when you lose. You did what I'm saying? And you instantly want to run it back. You instantly want to run it back because you felt like, damn, I could have won that fight, but I lost that fight. Or I could have won that game, but I lost that game. Let's run it back real quick. You dig? Errol Spence, he didn't have to have that immediate reaction of, man, I want a rematch, I lost. But he might go home and let it marinate, and it might sink in, and he might be like some Apollo Creed and Rocky Part 2 and be like, yo, you know what, I didn't beat him the way I wanted to beat him. I won the fight, but I didn't win the way I wanted to win. Yeah, let's run it back. There's a difference when you sit back and you sit home and you start to let shit sit on your conscience and you decide, nah, I want to do that better. That's when you critique yourself and you be like, you know what, I can do a better job. Let me run it back and show the whole world what I'm really about. That could be the case. Doesn't have to be the case, but there's a difference when you immediately lose and you're like, man, I want to run it back. You want to run it back as soon as possible when you know you lose. Hence, Shawn Porter running a rematch immediately. Kenny Porter talking about a rematch immediately, versus Errol Spence taking his victory, saying, I'm gonna go celebrate in this victory, but then once it kicks back in later on, he might be like, you know what, nah, I want to do better than that. That's That's Floyd Mayweather versus Maidana Part 2. When Floyd said, you know what, that first fight didn't look the way I wanted it to look. Let me go back and clear up that asterisk, and let me go back and, you know what I'm saying, make that look a little better. You dig what I'm saying? I know some of y'all, just like I just told Amazing E, just like the good book say, let those who have eyes see. Let those who have ears hear. We all got eyes, don't mean we know how to use them. We all got ears, and we all do not use our ears. So I know a lot of what I'm saying is going to fall on deaf ears. That's cool, man. That's why I say salute to the real and deaf to the fake. You feel me? Whoever going to hear me out. Who's not going to hear me, you know what I'm saying, they're not going to hear me no matter what you say. They got deaf ears. So, anyways, to my man, I was saying, Showbiz the Adult hit the nail on the head. He made a prediction, a pre-fight prediction where he was saying Shawn Porter didn't come to the fight to win the fight. He came he gave two different analogies. The movie 300, and I know everybody that's seen my channel have had to see Showbiz the Adult channel. You know what I'm saying? So I'm using that reference. Y'all should already know what I'm talking about. But he said he used two analogies. 300, the movie 300. He said that's one of his favorite movies. One of my favorite movies too, man. Please salute. King Leonidas from Sparta wanted to, at the end, there was no way he was going to win that war or that battle between whatever that little king, the god dude, the dude that thought he was a god. You know, he was super tall, was gold, had all the rings and nose rings and all that. What was his name? Xerxes or something like that, right? He said that Leonidas, his goal, his main goal, even though he could not win the war, was to expose to everybody that a god could bleed. And at the end, he had his moment where he threw the sphere, and the sphere just glanced past Xerxes' cheekbone and did a little cut, and he made him bleed, right? Then he gave him another analogy. He used Rocky Part 1, which was based off this real life dude. I forget his name. I apologize. I forget his name. They called him the Brawler, something like that. He was a knockaround guy, but Rocky Balboa was based off of a real life character. And Rocky Balboa was based off this guy that actually fought Muhammad Ali and went to 12, and he knocked Muhammad Ali down. And then Muhammad Ali gave him the business and beat him up, right? But Sylvester Stallone was inspired by this guy to write the Rocky Balboa movie. And in the Rocky Balboa movie, you know, Rocky Balboa told Adrian, I can't beat this guy, but nobody's went the distance with the champ. I just want to go the distance. So he was trying to get that moral victory in the loss. And at the end, you know, lo and behold, you know, Apollo had to dumb down his tactic, his ability, so that he could make it a fight. And Rocky Balboa shocked the world, and he survived the 12 rounds. He took his pound of flesh, and he showed that Apollo Creed could get beat. Apollo Creed went home, and he couldn't settle with it. He wanted to rematch in Part 2. Part 1, both of them was like no rematch. But check this out. And Shawn Porter accomplished those two things based off those two analogies. He was King Leonidas that made the god Xerxes bleed. He was the Rocky Balboa that, you know, went the 12 rounds with Apollo Creed, right? But I left Amazing E a message and was like, Shawn Porter gonna get his ass whipped. I was gonna put some more stuff. I typed out a bunch of stuff, and then I went ahead and chopped it down basically to just Shawn Porter gonna get his ass whipped. Because at the end of the day, I agree with Showbiz the Adult's two analogies. I've said that to myself as well, that Shawn Porter just wanted to make the god bleed. He just wanted to survive the 12 rounds. But I didn't want to put that energy out there. I believe in what Deontay Wilder says. Speak it, believe it, and receive it. I didn't want to put out that that energy that Shawn Porter was gonna make him bleed, and he laughed at 12 rounds. So I just edited my text messages or my comment to Showbiz, and I said Shawn Porter gonna get his ass whipped, right? Which Shawn Porter got his ass whipped. Now, check this out. Those two analogies. Think about it in reality terms, because those two are movies, but they based off of reality. In reality and in the movie, yes, Leonidas made Xerxes bleed, just like Shawn Porter. But at the end of it all, Leonidas got his ass killed, just like Shawn Porter got his ass whipped. In real life, the Spartans got completely wiped out. Life is not like the movies. In the movies, Rocky Balboa, he went to 12 rounds, just like Shawn Porter. But in part one, which is based off reality, Rocky Balboa got his ass whooped, just like Shawn Porter. In real life, there wasn't no rematch. There was no part 3 or part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5 of Rocky in real life. In real life, the guy that Rocky was based off of, after he fought Muhammad Ali, the rest of his life was disaster, with drugs and false fame and defeat and divorce and dysfunction and total chaos in real life. It wasn't no, I rematched Muhammad Ali, then I beat Muhammad Ali, then I fought Mr. T, then I fought Drago, and then I fought in the streets with Tommy Guns, and then I retired, and then I came back, and then I fought Antonio Tarver, and then I trained Apollo's son. That's the movies. In real life, the real dude was a dysfunctional drug addict who couldn't hold down a family or a marriage and never fought for a title again. Got his ass beat in the movies and in real life. Okay? So I kind of want to leave it there. But as far as a rematch between Errol Spence and Shawn Porter, y'all got to keep in mind, Shawn Porter trained damn near year round. Right after the fight between him and Leonidas Ugas, he trained non-stop up until the point where he fought Errol Spence. That was the best Shawn Porter you're going to see. Just like that was the best Shawn Porter when he fought Keith Thurman, and the best Shawn Porter when he fought Kell Brook. And at the end of the day, he just came up short. That was the best version of Shawn Porter, and he came up short against Errol Spence. Even Kenny Porter said at the end of that fight, Errol Spence could have made that fight easy on himself if he wanted to. He chose to fight in the telephone booth. If there was a rematch, Errol Spence could make way more adjustments. He has way more potential to make adjustments and make it a total different fight than Shawn Porter could. In a rematch, hypothetically, Shawn Porter would expect the same outcome or worse outcome based off Errol Spence saying, okay, man, I proved my point that I could brawl with you. Now I'm just going to box you. And it would be a totally different fight. Shawn Porter don't have that option. He can't say, okay, I'm going to go to boxing with you. Negative. Okay, I digress. Let me end this conversation, man. I didn't want to talk 18 minutes on Errol Spence and Shawn Porter, but I just know you got to drill it into these people that just don't understand. Talking about Errol Spence got exposed. What is their definition of exposure? Amazing E, I appreciate your video, man, but it was a waste of your time. Just like this is probably a waste of my time, because so many people are not going to be able to understand and fathom the reality of situations. That's just fact. He knows the sports. Keep up the good work, but trust me, falling on deaf ears. A lot of people just not going to hear what you're saying. Okay. As far as the rematch between Luis Ortiz and Luis King Kong Ortiz, that damn monster, that southpaw Cuban dude that's knocking people out, that some people are already saying is not the best Cuban heavyweight. Okay. Fighting Deontay Wilder. Now, Mr. Punch Drunk Boxing, if you hear this message, I do agree with you. I don't think this should be a pay-per-view fight. I might change my mind on that. But you know, maybe just because I just finished paying for a pay-per-view fight, I'm kind of like, damn, give us a break, man. Throw us a good fight. We already seen them fight before. Let's give the fans a fight they don't have to go pay, you know, $80 for. Louis King Kong Ortiz versus Deontay Wilder would be a good fight, a good rematch. I feel like Louis Ortiz deserves a rematch, just as much as Tyson Fury could rematch Deontay Wilder. Both of those fights were good fights. And Louis Ortiz definitely had Deontay Wilder hurt a couple of times in that fight. So we don't know that, you know, Deontay Wilder is just going to come in there and knock out Louis King Kong Ortiz the same way he did Dominic Breazeale. We assume that, but we don't know that. It's a possibility that King Kong might actually come in better shape. I know his age is a mystery. We don't know his age, but I'm not going to sit here and assume how old the man is. The last fight I saw him fight, he knocked dude out cold. And as far as I'm seeing, Deontay Wilder, he's aging too. Not to say that he's aging in the ring, but I'm just saying it's been the same amount of time for both these guys. So I don't look at it like, oh, now all of a sudden Ortiz is over the hill. Right? I still feel like he's a threat. And a rematch would be a good fight for Deontay Wilder to keep him sharp. Who else should he be fighting? Now, who should he be fighting via pay-per-view? Who could he fight pay-per-view right now? In my opinion, Tyson Fury is out the picture. He's nursing, you know, the cut over his eye that, you know, might have had to have plastic surgery. You still got Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua, maybe fighting in Saudi Arabia, still kind of pending. Would I pay pay-per-view to see Deontay Wilder fight Andy Ruiz? Maybe, definitely, because I feel like that's a unification. The only thing other than that would be, as far as the heavyweights, in my opinion, would be Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua. That's before Anthony Joshua got his ass knocked out by Andy Ruiz. Or should I say knocked down 4 times and made him quit. So, other than that, the only person I would want to see Deontay Wilder fight that I know would be, who should he fight? Otto Wallin, you know what I'm saying? Because nobody knew who Otto Wallin was. Nobody really knew who Andy Ruiz was. Some hardcore boxing fans knew who Andy Ruiz was, but they didn't think he was going to win. So knowing that Ortiz is a legitimate threat, I can't see how you can say that Wilder versus Ortiz is not a legitimate fight. It's definitely not a cherry pick. He's still a huge threat. I just don't know if it's pay-per-view worthy. As of right now, like I said, I'm still pinching pennies after paying for Errol Spence, and I got my money's worth. So, you know, I'm just not ready to go back into pay-per-view mode. I think it should be a free fight, but, you know, I'm not going to nitpick over stuff like that. My last topic I'm going to discuss, and keep this video under 25 minutes. Terence Bud Crawford. He said that Errol Spence is food after this fight against Shawn Porter. I don't have no problem with that. I felt like as slick as Terence Bud Crawford is, I felt like he should have said something a little bit more slicker. Like, you know, something like salute and props. Congratulations to Errol Spence unification. Now I'm finna come take your belts. I thought that would have been something more slicker. I would have saluted that, you dig? But saying the man is food, you gotta say something, right? I mean, people saying you got Derrick James saying that the man ain't bringing enough food to the table to eat. He had to eat off Errol Spence's plate, right? I understand, man. You got to sell these fights. This is not the UK where boxing is just getting supported. America is full of haters, and they don't want to support Americans. Boxing is not the hugest sport in America. Football is. I went to when we just went to the Errol Spence party. I had a fight party with my brother. Most of the guys there are casuals. You start in between fights, they was talking about football. I ain't want to participate in that conversation. I was in boxing mode. Plus, I'm just not a huge fan of football. So Errol Spence pay-per-view numbers rising up. You know what I'm saying? His stock is rising up. Shawn Porter's stock rose up a little bit. Terence Bud Crawford got to make some noise. So he got to say something. So I salute that, because he got to get people to. He got to create that buzz. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to say something. So that's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to, you know what I'm saying, make his statement, make his noise, and start to create his. I know, because he got plenty of fans. Like when Derrick James was saying that the man didn't bring enough to the table, you know, part of me, like I said, he's speaking above my pay grade. I ain't gonna lie about that, but a part of it makes sense. $54 million is not a lot of money when it comes to two big businesses like that, right? And I know that you can't do what Mayweather and Pacquiao did. You cannot stretch out a Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence fight for 5 years. You can't do that. The same way you couldn't stretch out a Deontay Wilder and an Anthony Joshua fight for 5 years. But it's like Floyd Mayweather said when he was preparing for Manny Pacquiao and when he was preparing for Conor McGregor. He said it's all about timing. Before Mayweather fought Manny Pacquiao, he had already been fighting professionally as a champion for almost 16 years. And Manny Pacquiao had worked his way up through the ranks and got there to where now people were asking for Manny Pacquiao to come and knock Mayweather off the throne. So how could Spence and Bud Crawford do the same thing as Manny Pacquiao and Mayweather if their career is not even half of what Mayweather's career was before the Manny Pacquiao start even making buzz about that fight? Of course they can't stretch it out for 5 years, but they got to let it marinate and cook for a little bit longer. If they were to fight right now, it probably would do the same numbers, maybe just a little bit better than just Shawn Porter and the Errol Spence fight. Because there's still a lot of people that just not caring about boxing like that. And what most people that I watch on YouTube, they hardcore boxing analysis, and they just forget about the fact that a lot of people just are not as interested in boxing the way they are. They don't know who Terence Bud Crawford is. They just now finding out who Terence Bud Crawford is, and they just now finding out who Errol Spence is. So it would have to cook a little bit longer for them to make the kind of money for two big networks and the boxers and everybody else to really eat. So Terence Bud Crawford should say what he say, and he should keep saying what he's saying and make his name get bigger and make the fight get bigger. And we do want to see that happen in 2020. You dig what I'm saying? We do want to see it. So salute to Terence Bud Crawford. Talk your talk. You know what I'm saying? And that's what he's supposed to do. I think that's all I'm gonna say right now, people. I think I'm out. I had some more to say, please believe, but I don't want to stretch this video out any further. To those that got ears, hear me. To those who got eyes, they see what I'm saying. This is Nocturnal Thought. Salute to the real. Death to the fake. Peace.